The next instrument I'm going to introduce you to is the Touchéch Protractor, and it's based on the principle of the V-groove as described in the video describing the ruler. So if you haven't seen the video describing how the ruler and how it's used and the principles behind its operation, I'd urge you to look at that first to familiarize yourself with the principles of the grooves and how the grooves are used to locate the thumbtacks or the stylus to where you want them to be. So when using a protractor, you basically want to measure angles, and so the angles are measured based on a baseline or the flat surface of a line, which is the bottom of the line from which you would measure your angle, and you would have a point in the center of that line, more or less, which you would align the center of the protractor to. So we'll start by doing that. We'll draw a line, and if you want to center it on the page, you could use the palms of your hands, and more or less where your thumbs meet, it would be the center of the page. So you push your thumb pin or a thumbtack in over there. I'll use a colored one because the white one is a bit of a problem. And the first step is to align the center of the protractor to the center of the line that you want to use for your angles. So the protractor has a V groove in the center, and it will align directly with the pin that you're using on the center of the baseline. Now the protractor has two, what I refer to as land areas. One is this land area, and one is that's on the exterior of the protractor, on the outside of the semicircular edge, and this other one is on the inside. And you have two little semicircular apertures here where you can feel the line on the inside if it's a small line, or you could feel the line on the outside of the protractor. And the idea is that you've got to first line up your protractor to the baseline. So the first thing you do is you scratch around with your pin, and more or less where the external land area meets, and just on the outside of the edge of the protractor, you try and locate. You don't have to touch the edge, but you try and locate your line, tactile line, and put your pin down over there. And then all you have to do is to rotate the protractor till the land meets the pin, and you've got your protractor lined up with the baseline. Now if you have a small line, and if it's suppose it ends somewhere in the middle over here, you try and put a push pin somewhere on the inside, and the push pin will also line up on the inner land will line up with the baseline. So once your protractor is lined up with the baseline, you can, and I'll just use this side of the board. The protractor has two little holes with the tactile markings, so you can align your push pin and fasten your protractor to the board. Now these two pins, the center and a land area, have aligned the protractor with the baseline. Now when it comes to measuring, the same principle as in the ruler, we've got the circular edge divided into 5-degree intervals, and you could slide your stylus. There's a sort of a depressed groove running parallel to the edge, in which you can feel, if you take a push pin or a stylus, you can feel the push pin jump in 15-degree intervals. Now the same, we have also commonly used angles of 30, 45, 60 and 90 with tactile markings to locate the grooves easily. But you also have this groove which I call the rapid locator groove, parallel to the edge, where you can slide your push pin and count from the 0, 15, 30, 45, 60, and so on and so forth, going all around the edge to 180 degrees. The same principle applies now. You can slide the push pin off the edge of the groove onto the paper to the angle that you want to use or to draw. Now that you've got that, you can take off the fastening pins and gently tilt the protractor so that it comes off the page It just takes a little bit so you don't dislodge the pins, and align your scale between the center and the angle that you want to draw, and use the roulette again along the edge of the ruler, and you can draw the angle that you want. In this case it's, I think, 60 from the baseline this side. So this is how you would use the protractor to draw the angles that you want. Or if you've got a line that's already drawn, and you must make sure you align your baseline on the inner land edge and not on the outer land edge. So suppose you've got a line and you've got a marking here, and you want to measure the angle. So you set up your protractor on the baseline, get the baseline intact, then you remove your protractor, you draw a line from the point that you want to measure the angle, and draw a line. You put your protractor in position, and now you've got to feel the line and align it with more or less where you've got your line. You try and find that line and then work backwards to find the groove that matches that line, and then you can count how many degrees it takes to line up with that groove. So you can measure an existing angle by using the protractor that way.